This field's a new field. I have fields all the way from 1 to 5 years old. And then when this field gets old, we put it in wheat or oats or grass hay. I grow a lot of grass hay. But you can hear the birds out there, so you know they're here.
Farmers have known for a long time that birds can be beneficial because they eat pest insects, rodents, and pest birds. And today there's a resurgence of interest by farmers and researchers, and Wild Farm Alliance is happy to be part of that. When birds feed their young, they are overwhelmingly beneficial because they are feeding them high-protein diets of insects and rodents. Here at Chamberlain Farms, there's lots of different kinds of birds and lots of different situations in which they exist. There's egrets and herons that are scouring the ground for rodents. There's owls and hawks soaring above looking for rodents and sometimes insects. There's swallows catching insects on the wing. And there's red-winged blackbirds and sparrows foraging for pest insects and alfalfa.
We have found in alfalfa that birds across the board reduce the damage from one of the key pests, the alfalfa weevil, by 33%. And having more bird diversity increases the benefits that farmers get from birds. One pair of barn owls and their progeny eat almost 100 kilograms of rodent prey every single year. And most of those are gophers, voles, and mice, which are all pests of agriculture. I like to think of all of this as restoring balance to these agro-ecosystems that we live in. Rodent numbers are much higher than they would be in a lot of these fields because there's so much food available and often there aren't many predators. So doing something like flooding a field, it can be beneficial for many different ways for the farmer, for the landscape because it's good for groundwater recharge, and then also for wildlife like these birds. So there are lots of different levels of benefits that can build on top of each other.
In the summer, when we're irrigating, is when really thick birds. The water comes down between those borders, a mass of water. And that's where the birds, they hang out right as the water moves down the field, at the lead of it, the bugs and stuff and the moles and gophers and voles come up out of the ground. And that's when the birds have a kind of a traveling lunch wagon going down through the field here.
Nice.
Yeah, there's no question the birds help.
So historically, the Central Valley was this big network of riparian corridors, big rivers, a lot of wetlands. And over the years, as people moved west, they developed or reclaimed the land for uses such as urbanization or agriculture. And so a lot of those native habitats have been lost. And so the majority of the Central Valley is now actively being used for agricultural production. By installing these hedgerows or enhancing some adjacent habitat next to farm fields, you're potentially attracting beneficial birds and beneficial insects that will then move into the agricultural matrix and prey on some of those pests that the farmers spend a lot of money and time trying to manage and control.
Our ag systems are incredibly productive, but they're homogeneous and intensively farmed, and so then there's just no wildlife habitat that's anywhere because it's basically, like corner to corner, road to road is farmed. And so my interest is at looking at how to bring biodiversity back to our landscapes and into our farming systems. And so the whole idea is to plant habitat on field edges, so you're not taking any land out of production, but you're putting habitat in areas around the farms that cannot be farmed. If you have a hedgerow, you're actually getting more natural enemies and more native bees and honeybees onto your farm, and those are actually helping to naturally control pests and also to pollinate crops. And through that benefit of better pest control, that leads to savings in insecticide use, and better pollination means you have better crop set, better seed set, and that's an economic gain for you there.
I'm collaborating with the Wild Farm Alliance right now on these field days and on a publication we created about beneficial birds and how to attract them and which birds are helpful in which crops and what we know.
Integrating nature on the farm is critical for our survival and for farm productivity. We've co-evolved, and together we can co-benefit from each other. Sometimes the best plantings and/or conserved areas are where they are connected, like hedgerows are connected to sluice systems, which are vegetated throughout. And that provides safe passage for birds and other wildlife that help our world function. At times, these habitats are used by common birds, but other times they're used by rarer ones. Chamberlain Farms' conservation easement for Swainson's hawks provides roosting and nesting sites for these protected species in perpetuity.
Yeah, there's a lot more of those swallows. There's two right out there now, right in front of us. There's another one right there. So just in the last day or two, a bunch more showed up.